Hello, afternoon. What's today? Saturday. Happy Saturday to all of you. I am the Dread Empath, and joining me, as always,
Solid Blue Sister.
okay, on today's show, we are going to be talking about the big R. No, not ricotta cheese. Religion. Religion. How it has helped and harmed the African American community. And we will be talking about the two main religions that we know that Black people practice, Christianity and Islam. Now, I like to consider myself an open minded atheist. I don't have evidence for the existence of God, but I do not shun religion or people who believe religion as long as they don't bastardize it and use it in a way to hurt others. And my sister here does believe in the Bible and believe in God. And unfortunately, folks, we couldn't get you a guest, but it's all good because we're all gonna learn something. And even though me and Solid have our differences, we're gonna remain friendly.
Of course, of course. And I got to throw this in here. This is Friendly Differences 2.0. So, Dread, okay, I know that you're an atheist. Am I right? You're an atheist? You
Yes.
consider yourself
Yes.
atheist? Okay. I consider myself a Christian, but I want to clarify a couple of things, okay? I grew up, I was baptized Methodist, grew up a little bit Baptist, went to a Lutheran school, kindergarten through 12th grade. Um, I've gone to Catholic churches. I've been to many churches, but now I don't claim any type of Baptist, Methodist, whatever. But I do believe in the Bible. However, I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not one of those people who will, talk to you and start quoting Bible verses. I know people who are like that. If that's what they want to do, go ahead. That's your
Have
business. Go
at
ahead
it.
and do it. Whatever. I was having a conversation with someone the other day. We were talking about something, and she's just the type of person where she's religious. She reads her Bible every day. And in the midst of our conversation, she always quotes Bible verses. Um, Having said that, I do believe that you have to believe in something, whatever that something is, whether it be God, whether it be a Buddha, whatever. If you want to worship your feet, go ahead and worship your feet. But I do believe. Well, I'm not going to say you have to believe in something, but I do believe, even atheists, I do believe that you do believe in something, whatever that something may be. You believe in it. Like, do you think that? I mean, how were we here? Some people say that we're here because of energy, whatever. I mean, do you believe that Adam and Eve were real people, or I mean, how do you? I
No,
mean, okay, so how do you think that we were here? I mean, how did man come about? How did animals come about?
don't know. And see, that's the thing with a lot of us atheists. A lot of us are comfortable with saying we don't know. There is no way to prove how we got here. The Bible is not proof that we are here, that there is a God or not a God, or a devil or not a devil. Now, me personally, I can't speak for all atheists or even agnostic people. I believe in the universe. I believe in my ancestors. The universe exists. My ancestors, they existed too. In order for me to be born, I had to have two parents, four grandparents, eight great grandparents, so on and so forth. So that's how I came to be.
Okay,
Anything
so
else is open for speculation.
okay, so as an atheist,
Hmm.
do you think the world was just here? That it's always been here?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
I believe that everything was always here and everything just evolved. It just
okay.
evolved.
So
Science,
then, go ahead.
science proves evolution. Our brains are constantly evolving. Our technology is constantly evolving. The only thing that stays the same for the most part is nature. From seeds and dirt and water, you get trees, you get flowers, you get grass, you get this, you get that. electricity, that's natural. All of that is natural. But to say that a God gave it to us, so to speak, there's no proof of that. And I love the people who say you can't have something from nothing. That is an unfair statement because you don't have nothing to compare something to.
Okay, so when you say Christians and atheists, I divide Christians into several different groups because I consider myself a Christian, but I am definitely not an evangelical. Because I think
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry, and I know I'm gonna piss some people off when they see this, but I think evangelical Christians are crazy. I think that they fit things for them. Like if this is what we want to do, then we're going to turn everything and twist everything around to fit them. And I think that that's wrong. I think that they're the ones who not all. Let me say that right there. Not all, but some of them. You want to talk about gay people. You want to talk about black on black crime. You want to talk about trans. You want to talk about all these other things that are, oh my God, the Bible and Roe versus Wade and oh no 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 no. But after y'all leave church, where are you? Where's your husband when he's not at home? Where are you when you're being a Karen and being so vicious and so nasty? I mean, it's like all this. Where are you when you're trying to, when you're just spewing hate that comes out of your mouth, but then on Sunday morning you're back in church. Sorry, that's called
right.
hypocritical.
Hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy,
Yes.
right?
And see, that's why I believe that religion that's a part of religion that has been harmful to the African American community. Now, I took the liberty of getting a few stats. Now, 79% of Black Americans are Christian. Okay? Muslims only make up about 2%, between 600 and 850,000 people, Black people, are Muslim. Now, here's why I have no issue with Christianity in the African American community. One, it gives them hope, it gives them faith. You have people who go to prison, they used to be the worst of the worst. They go to prison, they find God, they find Jesus, they find Allah, they come out here, they never commit another crime. And certain people who commit crime, I like them, I love them, because even though they found that religion, they may have found religion, but they never forget where they found themselves when they found themselves sitting in a jail cell. Now, I asked an ex-Christian, what were the pros of the Black church? She says, hope, faith, connection to a higher power, sisterhood and brotherhood, fellowship, sticking together, festivities, good food, just being around people, being all together. But then she countered and said, you got to be a part of them to feel that. Certain places are very cliquish. Certain churches have cliques.
Oh yeah.
They talk ill about people.
Yeah.
They have lack of accountability on one sin and judgment for another, such as molestation. They say nothing about the molestation, but they ostracize and criticize the homosexuals. They manipulate. They're silent.
But that's not just but that's just not the Black church. That's all churches. I mean, what you're saying
absolutely.
right now is like the Catholic Church. Everything you're saying right now, Catholic Church, check. So.
But it happens in the Black church.
No, I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm just saying that I mean, what you're saying is to me in every church. And once again, just like you said, the hypocrisy of it all is that how can you sit up here and stand up and preach this stuff when you yourself are doing exactly what you're saying that you shouldn't do? I think one reason why Black people cling to the black church, and so much in the past as opposed to millennials, because I do that know that millennials and Gen Zs, they don't believe the way the older generations did. But I think that you needed just something just to keep you going, just because Mr. Charlie was just too much. I mean, he's still too much, but you needed something that was going to, the 18 hours that you were in those fields, picking cotton, or, the overseer or master, even if you were a maid, your boss, telling you to come into his room, whatever. You just needed something that's just going to just get you by. So would you agree with that, and do you think that's fair?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because it's already, I was doing a little bit of studying, and I found out that some of the ancient books of the Bible that were taken out were found in Africa, where those ancient books told slaves to rebel, to rise up. And we only ever talk about uprisings when we hear about Nat Turner or Harriet Tubman escaping. But
Right.
those two were devout Christians. But we have to remember, see, first of all, I always say black people hate everything about slavery except that damn Bible. Because that aside, the missing books aside, we're going to look at what they were given throughout the time they were here. First of all, the Bible was the only book they were allowed to read, and they were only allowed to read certain parts of it. The Bible clearly sanctioned slavery. And before y'all start commenting and getting all in your feelings, Deuteronomy, Exodus, Numbers, 1 Peter, go read your Bible again, because Exodus says what exactly about the slave? Which one? Exodus 21. You can beat a man, and if he does not die within a few days, there is no punishment, right? They drilled religion into the heads of slaves. Obey your earthly masters. Obey the masters that are good, even the cruel ones. But they also told the masters, be well to your slaves, for you have a master in heaven. And see, where I get really fucked up at, I'm like, we didn't have a God that was smart enough to tell people not to own slaves. We didn't have, and then you have to remember, voodoo, hoodoo, all of those things were outlawed. We were forbidden on practicing that. They gave us this Bible with a white.
Well, it was the slave Bible. I mean, you have the slave Bible, which
right.
Yeah.
Slave Bible, but still, they gave them a slave Bible with a blonde hair, blue-eyed white Jesus. And there's history behind that.
Well, yeah, there is history behind that, and there's also a strategy behind that, because when way back when people would talk about the Bible and stuff, and they would talk about Jesus Christ, they never really said what he looked like. He was just this entity. But they did say that his hair was like wool. And I don't care whether you believe in the Bible or not, or who you think God is, if you believe in God, whatever. One thing that I know is true. Right. Civilization started on the African continent.
Yes, it did.
The continent of Africa. So Israel, all those places, I'm sorry, Jesus was black. It was a strategy. And mainly when it started to get into the Europeans and stuff, it was a strategy to make Jesus white so that he could appear like, oh, he's this again, white is up here and everybody else is down here. It was a strategy. It was Absolutely. A strategy. And that is why, it's interesting. You see some of these older shows, and people, had black Jesus on their wall. And you have some white people now who really get offended if you say that Jesus was black. Remember when Megyn Kelly made that uproar, and she says, "Well, Jesus was white. He was white." And it's
Yeah.
like, no, he wasn't. And even if you want to disagree with me and say that he wasn't white, or he wasn't black, then how can you prove that he was white? Because
Well, see,
honestly, I didn't know Jesus. I didn't know him. So how can you prove to me that Jesus was white if you're telling me that he wasn't black? Prove to me Jesus was white.
well, Jesus was black because in the Bible it said that he had skin like brass and the hair of wool.
Yes. You
Right.
see,
And it makes sense that if they were walking around Egypt, white people can't walk around in the sun like that. They'll peel. Their skin is not equipped to be in the beaming hot sun like that. So, I mean, that's not me being funny. That's just being real.
no, no, you're serious. No, that makes sense. Let me just
Right.
read what Sabrina says. Sabrina says some Christians are good, and there are cult beliefs that are not Christian, and churches have been philanthropic, helping some people. But I don't know why anyone insists on the title Christians, knowing what we know about it. That's interesting.
That's fair. That's very fair. And you know what? I want to say to this woman that yes, that's the part of the church or what that I love, that I absolutely love, because yes, you have some churches, they're not all about the money. They're a small congregation, they don't have much, but they help the community. They're out there giving haircuts and book bags and this and that. But then you have other churches that are a fashion show. They look at you funny because you're not dressed to the nines. And here's my thing. I don't care how somebody comes to church. At least they're there. If they're trying to find peace and redemption, why are you worried about what they're wearing? They could be crumbling inside.
Right.
Now,
Right.
I'm going to get to the Muslim folks. And as
Wait,
someone...
before you get to Muslim, Miss Pretty Eyes, it makes a lot of sense because if people want to be technical, we were here first, black people, and that's the truth. So, okay,
We were.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was brought up in an Islamic household. Okay. My mom met my dad. She converted to Islam. Now, my grandmother was a Southern Baptist, but my grandmother was not judgmental. She didn't beat you with the Bible. Not at all. One thing I've noticed about the Muslims, if you're not Muslim, they don't want to be bothered with you. Now, I went to an Islamic school with all the other little Muslim children. I went to public school, and that was something different. But let me tell you this. I saw some of those Muslim children as adults later. And because I am a full-blown lesbian and whatever else, they will not speak to me on the street because I'm no longer Muslim. I'm not saying that Muslims treat people cruelly, but they have a name for people who don't believe in the followings of Muhammad. You're a Kafir. You're a non-believer of the teachings. And I'm like,
But they're not the only ones that say that. You have other people who don't believe in Christianity who will say you're a non-believer. Of whatever their religion is.
They'll call you nasty, nudges, Kafir. Trust me. But my problem is with anyone who follows any religion. Every God tells you what? To love. To love. I love when the Bible thumping weirdos pull out Leviticus. Hold on, because I'm blind as a bat. Leviticus 18:22. Man shall not lie down with man as he lies with woman. It is an abomination. And usually, when they try to come for me, I tell them, go down a little bit further. And they're like, to what? Leviticus 19:18. What did God say? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. It didn't say your neighbor had to be a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, a Hinduist. He said to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And that is the one thing that I cannot get behind, is how people who follow these religions, they have so much hate. They have so much hate and venom for people who are different from them. And I asked
Okay,
them,
so but what's different? Because when you look at it, we're always going to be different from somebody else. I mean, you look at each other, we're different, but we're always going to be different from someone else. Someone is always going to have darker skin, lighter skin, short, tall, skinny, heavy, whatever. I mean,
true.
so you're absolutely
But you
right.
don't hate fat people, do you?
No.
Right. I don't hate straight people. I don't hate anyone. Now, if you do something to me to cause me to dislike you or hate you, that's something different. But my point is, people will go to war. Wars have been fought over religion.
Of course.
That's what makes it harmful. And why it's harmful in the African American community is people will live and die by that Bible, even shunning their history.
Okay, so let me ask you this: the 9 people in 2016 that was killed by what's his name, Adam, what was his name, the boy that killed the 9 people
I know what you're talking about.
church.
Crazy
So
motherfucker.
do you think that if black people, Christians, God-fearing, were not so welcoming into church, into like come worship with us, do you think if they were more like, if he wanted to come in and they were like, nope, sorry, this is only for us, you're not a member, you can't come in, do you think they possibly would still be alive?
No, he'd have just waited outside for him.
Okay, so now I want to go to the shooting in, was it Buffalo, where people were killed, and you had some older people that were killed, but you had their families come out and say, we forgive you. See, I'm not one of those Christians who will forgive you. I'm sorry, you shot my mother, my brother, my sister, my dog, whatever. I'm not for forgiving you. I'm not, and people have said, well, you might not be a Christian. Or I even had somebody who I really believe is a racist say to me, well, doesn't the Bible say to forgive? But yet you're going off and you're supporting people who are doing very nasty things. But why is it that black people are always the ones to say, I forgive? And do you think that is a teaching from religion that has hurt us?
Yes.
Because I think all this forgiveness that we've been doing has hurt us. And I think those other people rely on us to say, I forgive you, so they can feel just a little less guilty or a little less whatever. But I'm not forgiving you. I'm sorry. I'm not that good of a Christian. I will admit it. I'm not there. And I never will be.
Here's the thing. Yes. The Bible said that the Lord said, vengeance is mine. Fine. I say this. God forgives. I don't. And yes, I feel like black people have been brainwashed into being so forgiving and, I want to go to heaven. And I'm like, you do realize that when they were lynching our people back in the day, that some of them people that were doing the lynching were deacons and bishops and pastors. You had them hiding their Klan uniforms. They're not, listen, what did Oprah Winfrey say in The Color Purple? Girl, you better bash Mister's head open and think about heaven later.
Yep.
That's what I said. And I forgot where this came from, but I used to always say, praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. Black people too busy praising the Lord to pass the ammunition. They too busy feeling like, if you pass the ammunition, I can no longer praise the Lord. Knock the hell out of them. Say a prayer. Repent. You'll be all right. But yes, religion has made us very docile. You just look at...
But do you think that comes from... Excuse me. Do you think that comes from slavery? Or do you think that over time, just from the reverend or whomever standing up in the pulpit saying whatever, and it's been ingrained in us. I mean, again, I go back to what I said at the beginning. Do you think that religion was just something that we needed? Because I do believe that some people do just need something. They just need something just to get through. I mean, just to get through the day. You could be that homeless person, or you could be that wife who is just, your kids are just up to here with, you're up to here with them, or your husband, your wife, whatever. You just need something.
That's why I say I don't shun anyone or have a problem with anyone believing in a God, because you know what? If that's what brings you peace, that's what brings you peace. You have people who used to be heroin, I'm not even saying used to be, because just because somebody is a drug addict doesn't mean they don't believe in God, doesn't mean they don't believe in something. And it could be that belief in God that gets them off the street, that gets that needle out of their arm, that gets them to put that bottle down, anything. So I do believe that, and once again, I am not an asshole atheist. I don't like those people that tell people to pray to their sky daddy and all of that. I'm like, don't do that. Don't take away their peace. Because every person who identifies as a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, they're not beating you over the head with it. They found peace in that book. Leave them alone. If they're not hurting anyone, that's the main thing. If they're not hurting anyone, why are you trying to hurt them? They believe some things I don't. Okay, hey, let's go get a Slurpee. I just don't think that. I think that we got to cut the division between atheists and religious people as well. Because you would be surprised how angry black people get when, I'm like, yeah, I don't believe in a God. I'm like, you don't believe that somebody can be born gay, but you believe in somebody you don't see. And they're like, what's that got to do with anything? Because that's the one that
you make a very good point, because I do believe that people can be born gay, just like I also believe that people can be born bad. I do believe, like that old movie, The Bad Seed, I do believe that some children are just born evil. Yeah. I don't know if it's the evil gene that your great grandfather had. I mean, I don't know, but I do believe that there's something that that people can be born evil. I do believe people can be born gay. The trans thing, I'm having difficulty with. I mean, I am, but at the same time, you do you. I'm not going to, follow after you quoting Bible verses. I mean, because I have my own faults. You can turn around and look at me and say, well, Sarah, didn't you just do this, yesterday or whatever? Oh, yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, nowadays, the black community, and this is one thing that one of the videos that I was watching where they were saying about millennials, which I do believe is true, millennials and Gen Zs and Gen X, whatever. There's more access to social media, and I'm not even going to say social media, there's more access to information, where you can see that this is not, well, let me think about this, that they are using that information, where the older generation are still trying to figure out, now, how do I turn on this computer, whatever. But I do believe that you look at the black church, and this is something that somebody said, which I think is absolutely true, but it's not just black churches, it's white churches too. You look at Joe Osteen and all these other people, these mega churches, you have all this money, these, black pastors are getting all this money, and you look at how they're living, and then you look around the neighborhood, you're like, well, wait, why is this person over here hungry outside of this church? So, it's like, so while you're driving your Rolls Royce or whatever, how come you're not, where is this money going? And to Joel Osteen, when Katrina hit, he didn't want to let people into the church. So it's like, well, wait, you've made all this money. You are a millionaire. Um, you're
There's
living
money in that poem.
you're living high off the hog, but you look around and you have people who are in need. And I think that that's with not just with black churches, but I think that with religion as a whole, people are starting to turn away because it's like, if I'm supposed to come to church, I'm supposed to tithe and all this other stuff. I'm supposed to give 10%. How come it's not coming back to me? It seems like that every time I give my 10%, you're running off to Hawaii, you're running off to Jamaica, you're
Hey,
running
folks,
off. You're
don't give them shit.
this is what I'm saying. You're flying around in your plane, and everybody, I want y'all to know one thing that I do want in life is my own private plane.
But
But
see, that's just it. See, like
you
you
know,
said, there's so much more information out here
right,
where
right,
people are finding out. No, they don't pay taxes.
right,
Church is separate from state.
right,
And it's not just the church who doesn't pay taxes. Any religious organization does not pay taxes. So your little 10%, you get 10%. If you have 500 people in a church paying 10%, whatever their 10% may be, you threaten them with hell and tell them that, hey, if you keep, I'll quote my old pastor, I would rather have 90% of money that is blessed than 100% of money that's damned. And I said, well, I'll be damned. F you, dude. I'm not giving you 10% of my check because I need gas money. Because here's what I don't like. When the church needs money, they ask the people. When the people need money, they tell them to ask God.
right,
Come on.
right,
Who was it that Creflo Dollar gonna tell a bunch of people that he wants a new plane? You're talking to people who will never have as much money as you, who are trying to keep the lights on, a roof over their head, food on their table, and all you're worried about is a jet, even though the Bible, the same Bible that he loves to read from, already said that a rich man has the chance of a camel making it through the eye of a needle, getting into heaven. Jesus didn't hang out with rich people. He hung out with, hoes and lepers and and people that didn't have anything to offer. That's all I'm saying is that.
No, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm also kind of laughing of what Sabrina said about kid. Did you see what she said about kidnapping me? Oh Lord. Okay,
and
so
like
Sabrina, I will say one thing. If you kidnap me for a month, I absolutely have to have my own bedroom and my own bathroom. I don't share. So, but anyway, so I mean, hey, Petty Dip, welcome. He changed. He got cancer and apologized.
But look at what it took for him to apologize. You see, and none of us are perfect. See, in Islam, they say that all people will taste the hellfire. Everybody will taste the hellfire. Everybody will get a lightning bolt in their ass because nobody is perfect. None of us are. But my problem is, and like you said, it's not just the black church, it's the whole church. But can we, it gets dangerous when you start isolating. Like what was it? The Heaven's Gate?
Yeah.
Heaven's Gate, those poor people, they all committed suicide. You have people who they do join cults. There's a special on HBO where they were talking about the Mormons, where they had men marrying their cousins and nieces. Oh, he's 32, but he thinks his 14-year-old niece is cute, so she can be his 15th wife. Like, this is the harm that religion can do. And I think I sent you the link about the 63-year-old pastor that married the 18 or 19-year-old girl. You were her dean, her pastor, dean of the school, counselor, and the pastor, then you end up getting her pregnant.
Well,
Now,
I mean,
okay,
but again, that's not just that pastor. It's how
right?
many
That's
hundreds and thousands, and I mean, when you think about it, how many priests have gotten girls pregnant? How many nuns have slept with boys? So that's, I mean, it's just so, I mean, it's everywhere. But I do want to
right.
play. Um, Hopefully, I can do this correctly. I do want to play this Beyonce TikTok that Dred shared with me this morning. Let's see. Oh, nope, can't do it that way. Hold on. All right.
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. How dare you call yourself a Christian?
I'm just going to play the whole thing.
I don't care what pastor you got that is okay with it. I don't care what pastor you got that think it's cool. I don't care what pastor you got that's singing along to their song because they want some clout. Why you think that man called himself Jehovah? It was short for Jehovah. When a witch has a coven, it's normally a small thing. Witches' covens are normally 3 to 7 people. When it becomes thousands, it's called a hive. Y'all are part of that lady beehive? And you call yourself a Christian? May the dealings of the Lord come upon you. You think this is small stuff. You think you not going to that lady's concert is not an initiation. You think you not going to that concert is not a ritual. You think you not going to concert is not a gate. That entire concert is a gate. How dare you call yourself a Christian?
Okay, so
Somebody needs a hug.
I mean, okay, so when you first sent this to me, because I had never seen that, I had never seen that, and it's apparently it's been out for quite some time.
Yeah.
I had never seen it, and when I saw it, and when she started going into Coven and the witch and all this other stuff, when I went back, because I watched it a couple of times, and when I was watching it again, I'm like, well, can people turn around? Can Beyonce turn around and say that your congregation is a beehive and you're a coven and all that other stuff? I mean, I just thought that she was. I'm sorry. I thought that she was like just.
Extra?
I'm sorry. You were out of line, and she was just no. And then I was thinking again, when people tithe, what have you, how much money are you bringing into the church? How many donations did you get that Sunday or whatever day it was after you did your speech and you passing the basket around? How much money did you get? And I mean, I'm sorry, Dre. I think that she was out of line.
I don't disagree with you. Here's the thing. I try to see both sides of a coin. Now, one, I will say this, and this might get us some views. I can't stand Beyonce fans. They burn a hole in my drawers because they are the epitome of idolatry. But she could have said that in a way that her congregation would have heard her. She could have said, those of you who are online yelling, defending Beyonce, getting into fights about Beyonce, remember the first commandment. I am the Lord thy God. There you shall put no other gods before me. Idolatry is a sin. She could have given them grace. That's what the Bible talks about.
But I'm not a Beyonce fan at all. It has nothing to do with her concerts or anything or stuff that she said. I've just never liked her. I mean, I've never cared for her singing or anything like that. I don't think she's all that. I just don't. But they said the same thing. But they said the same thing about Michael Jackson, when he was going through all of his stuff. I mean, it's like, who are you? I don't know. When people start saying, "How dare you? How dare you go to her concert? How dare you?" You are a human, and you sin just
Right.
like everyone else. Just like people go to priests and they confess. Why are you confessing to another human being? Why am I confessing to you and you sin and you just as guilty about stuff that that I am? So I just thought that her whole delivery, and even like what you
She was
said, I
extra.
mean, it was like, no, it was. I mean,
She probably was mad that they spent money on them tickets and didn't give them to her. Didn't get the money to her. That's what she was mad about. You have to understand these televangelists. It is big money. Joyce Meyer was investigated by the IRS. And she said, and I quote, "Why is it that when it's a pastor making a lot of money, it's not a problem? You don't look at movie stars or businessmen this way, but when it's a pastor, it's an issue." Because you're not following that Bible that you read. No, you don't have to live like a pauper, but you're not supposed to be, making it rain either. You guys are flying. Kenneth Copeland, he owns a whole fleet of airlines. He has a private airport across the way from his mansion, so he doesn't have to go through the airport. But people are starving, and you claim to be a man of God. Why do you have 6 or 7 planes? You only got one ass.
well, I mean, I will say that the plane that I want is because I don't like going through TSA, and I don't like, I don't like being around people who are coughing and sneezing and all that other stuff. So just give me my own plane. I know, focus. Focus.
But I know we're goofing here. We're goofing. But the thing is, like and like you said, it's not just the black ones. We can point to Joel Osteen, Joyce Meyer, Creflo Dollar, T.D. Jakes. T.D. Jakes owns the Shade Room. The Shade Room, one of the messiest news outlets.
Okay.
That's what you know what I'm saying? But it's not for me to judge. Not for me to judge. But like I said, I understand she could have said it with some grace.
She could have.
said,
She could have.
You guys are committing idolatry. You guys will go hard for Beyonce, for a woman who doesn't know you, but you won't support your friend that has a small business selling t-shirts. She could have given them a little more grace. And like someone just said, that dress looked expensive. That dress looked kind of expensive. How you telling somebody how to spend their money? Leave them folks alone. If they put $10 in the collection plate, be happy.
Yeah, you're right, because that $10 could have gone to buy some food or help pay a bill. So I wrote this down so I didn't forget to bring it up. Jim Jones, the Guyana thing, whatever.
Uh-huh.
So just let me ask this, because most of the people in his congregation, if you want to call it that, were black. I was going to ask, do you think they would have drank the Kool-Aid if they were white or Latino or Asian? But I have to remember that I'm about to go to politics, that with Trump, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. And do you see Trump people as a religious cult? Because I didn't, but now I do. Because, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, it doesn't make any sense to me. The people that follow him and the reasons that they follow him, and I mean, it's like, they kind of treat this man like a god.
They do, though. They do. And they'll do anything that he tells them to. A religious cult, yeah, because he has given them the idea that he's a man of God. You have some people, one supporter even said, I trust God, Trump, and I was like, wait, Trump is second to God?
Wait, sorry. Oh, no, hold on. Sorry.
You good?
No. Hold on. Here we go. Sorry. Go ahead. Trump is second to God.
I think that yes, if Trump told them to drink the Kool-Aid, they would. You have a group of people saying that JFK is coming back to life. I mean, they believe anything this man says. They will believe if he told all of them, your mothers were all virgins. He's a demagogue. And that's what churches are. And that's what the wrong church can be as well. They can be demagogues. They can play on the intelligence and the emotions of the people. A person is smart. You get a group of people to collectively believe the same thing, and you keep pushing and pushing and pushing that rhetoric, you will get them to do whatever they want to do. Because one of the biggest problems that that those hardcore churches have is asking questions. You start asking questions, you are now the enemy, because there are certain things they can't explain. Nobody can explain how Trump is a God-fearing man and he loves God and he loves to go to church. They asked him what was his favorite book of the Bible, and he said, I don't like to get into that sort of thing. Bruh, really? Come on.
Well, Petty Deb says he had them separated from the main media cult leader. I mean, and that's, I mean, so again, it's like, you look at religion, and to me, religion takes all forms, and I do believe it has hurt the black community. I don't know if I want to say it's hurt the black community hard. Well, I guess it has. But at the same time, you look at the community as a whole, the society as a whole, and religion has totally screwed things up. With the evangelicals, it's just,
You go to the hood, what do you see the majority of? Churches and liquor stores. Things to keep people docile. Come on, come on.
Again. Okay, so I do believe that everything is all by design. So are you saying that white people built black churches in the black neighborhoods? Are you saying that Latinos built black churches in the black neighborhoods?
No. See, now here's the thing. No, because we're gonna keep it a buck here. We're gonna be very, very honest. Money is the root of all evil. The pursuit and the love of money is the root of all evil. And once these black pastors get a whiff of that money, yeah, they're gonna keep throwing these churches up. And it's all about
but is it the black pastor getting a whiff of the money when you have white pastors who have been getting whiffs of the money for years and years and years and years, and they've been stealing from their congregation for years? So
I expect white people to steal from people. They always stealing from people. I don't expect us to keep doing it to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Now, my aunt belonged to a church. Her lights was getting ready to get cut out. She went. She asked them for the money. They gave it to her. That was it. She had been a member of that church. They took care of her. I went to a church, and because I didn't tithe enough, they told me where to go and how to get there.
Are you serious?
I'm like, bruh, I'm dead serious.
But see, that pisses me off because, again, you walk outside of the church doors and there's, this homeless person. So you're gonna tell me I'm homeless. I don't have anything. I'm not even gonna talk about I don't have anything to eat. I'm just gonna say I'm going into your church. I haven't washed. My clothes are
whatever.
I mean, they're not. I'm not in my Sunday best, but that's my best for me. For you to tell me that I have to leave, or you're not going to, or you're scooting away from me because you don't want to sit next to me, or whatever. You don't want me in there at all. You're going to ask me to leave. Your deacons or whomever are going to come up to me and say you have to leave. Again, where's the Christianity?
Right. And it's funny you bring that up. A friend of mine, she was in a church. She was a devout Christian for 10 years. She was at Monday night study, Sunday school, everything. And they invited a few of the homeless people in there. But then the congregants started complaining because they smelled a little. So the pastor put them out, said, yeah, we're going to come to the shelter or whatever, and we'll preach there because you make my congregants uncomfortable. And this particular person said, stop for a minute. These people are at their lowest. They're asking to sit here for an hour or two and hear the word. They don't want to be in that shelter listening to the word. They want to be in church. And they listen to the congregants. And she asked these people, she said, how can you guys be God-fearing? How can you say that you're Christians, that you're followers of Christ? These are human beings. These are human beings. And it could be you right next to them tomorrow. Oh, well, God ain't going to let that happen. God has a way of humbling you, does he not? So, yeah, you know, people forget about the main thing, love, acceptance. That's the main talking point of Leviticus. The one that they like to throw at gay people. Atonement, worship, living, you know, sitting with the Lord. And I know there's probably going to be someone that asks, like, hold up, she's an atheist, but she quotes the Bible more than the person who said they're a Christian. Yes, I've read the Bible, because before I want to say that I'm an atheist, yeah, I'm going to read the Bible so that I can have my good talking points and my bad ones. I would never sit and say that everything in the Bible is wrong. I have questions. Okay, if Adam and Eve were the first people and they had two sons, Cain and Abel, where the hell did their wives come from? How's that possible? You know what I mean? But I'm like, hey, it's a story. It's cool. It's cool. And everybody can agree to disagree. But don't let religion bastardize you. Don't let religion take away your kindness. Because you might not like that somebody is gay, transgender, interracial dating. Who cares? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. The Bible even said that Jesus wants you to love your neighbor as you love him and yourself. So where I get upset with religion from all walks of life, first of all, when you start taking the innocence of children, I'm going to put it in the comments when we post this, but it was a white woman running a church, and the women had to be thin. These women were suffering from eating disorders because
she had a church where only
she had a church where you had to be pretty, you had to be thin.
Well, that's not a church. That's a club. That's not a church. That is a club.
Right.
Sorry.
I think it was pretty, obedient, and thin. It was something like that. And I was like, people fell for this? Like, people really fell for it. You had people having eating disorders and getting sick because she made them think you have to look this way. You have to be obedient even when your husband is doing wrong to you. That's where I say religion is bastardized. When you have people saying, when you have a group of men that feel like, hey, yeah, I'm going to have 20 different wives. Some of them are going to be my cousins. Some of them are going to be underage. And they're all going to have my children. I got 20 wives and 70 kids. It's sick. And then they say it all in the name of God. If that's what religion is, y'all can keep it, but it's not. And you will not get into heaven doing that shit either.
Okay, so I take it then that you don't believe in heaven or hell or purgatory. Do you believe there's a place between? Okay.
I believe that when we go to another life, not necessarily reincarnation. I read something that says you add up every number of your birthday, the month, the day, the year. Like, let's say you were born July 31st, 1980. You would add up 7 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 0. You add those two numbers. I have a thought that we get 13 lives. And after your 13th life, you ascend to something that nobody can ever imagine. The heaven and hell thing is just so tired, and it doesn't make sense. Because you're telling me that because I'm a lesbian, I'm going to hell. Doesn't matter that I feed homeless people. Doesn't matter that I'm good to people, that I'm a good person. I'm going to hell because I'm not saved. But the pedophile who's saved and says, I believe in God, I'm saved, is going to heaven. Ted Bundy is going to heaven. Eileen Warno is going to heaven because they all found God. Doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
Your thoughts?
I'm thinking about everything you said, because you said a lot. You said a lot, and the hypocrisy is definitely there. The hypocrisy is definitely there. Man, this is a whole different show. And you told me to focus. You told me to focus. I'm
I know. We're going to talk. We're going to talk.
Because, and we even said that this topic can go so many different ways.
Many ways, yeah.
It can go so many different ways. So I will just leave that for our next topic or topic coming up in October, whatever. But, so do you think that most people who go to the divinity school, or even you go online and become a ordained minister, whatever, do you think that they're how do I want to put it? I don't want to say, do you think that they're getting fed information that's not true? I mean, do you think that these people really truly believe, you want to be an ordained minister because you truly believe, not necessarily in the Bible, but because you truly believe in there is a word out there, whether it be the word of God, whether it be the whatever, there is the word. Do you believe in the word, that a word exists?
I don't believe that these people are seeking misinformation. I do believe that, because I give people the benefit of the doubt, I believe that they're going in with good intentions. They're not going in with the intent to hurt anybody or anything like that. They believe in a God, and they're trying to get information on that God. They're trying to learn about what they believe. So, okay, I'm going to be an ordained minister so I can get closer to congregations, so I can fellowship with people. And some people, they go one way, and some people go the other way. Some people lose their way because it's so much information that they can't process, or they want to question, but they can't, because you're taught to submit in any religion. You're to submit to the teachings of the God in which you believe in. You're not supposed to question.
So what do you think would happen if you went into work for black churches, or I'm just going to say for any church?
Okay.
All churches were abolished. No more churches. What do you think society would do? I mean, what if going to church, which I'm not surprised it won't be pretty soon, well, maybe not with the evangelicals. What if going to church was against the law? What if worshiping were against the law? How do you?
I would not, as a liberal, I would not agree with that. But
I'm just saying, but whether you agree or not, it's the law. It is happening.
I think we would.
What do you think society
really
would do? I mean, but do you think that it would be all chaos and anarchy and whatever. I mean, uprisings.
You know what the biggest question I get as an atheist? If you don't believe in a God, how do you know right from wrong? If they abolished religion and said church, any religion is against the law, I think we will find out who people are.
Well, I mean, I don't think right and wrong has anything to do with religion. I think right and wrong is common sense.
Okay, that's a beautiful thing to say. But I've had people ask me, so if you don't believe in God, how do you know what's right and wrong? I said, okay, I don't kill people because it's wrong. I don't moon people in public because it's wrong. I don't steal because it's wrong. Kind of common sense. Do you molest children? No. Why? Because it's wrong. Right. You don't need a Bible to tell you that. So when I say I think,
but is it the Bible or is it the church? Is it the religion? Is it the Bible or is it? I mean, because I truly believe that you have churches out there who don't pick up the Bible at all, never quote the Bible. They just have their own little.
Is it? Now I would love to see that.
I mean, okay. So you're going to sit here and tell me that you have a woman who has a church that only wants pretty people, who only wants thin people. How
well, she's dead now. She's not in.
But I'm just saying. But how can you rightfully get up and quote the Bible when your prerequisite for being a member of this church is you have to look a certain way? I mean, that right there. I mean, how can the hypocrisy?
But people bought into it.
People,
and because it was in the South. It was in the South.
Surprise, surprise.
It was a nice suburban neighborhood and
surprise.
Sunny and light and white. You know, it was a few black people sprinkled in there, but it was lots of white people, and they felt safe. And it was suburban. They had blonde hair. You know, like So yeah,
thank you, Sabrina. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Oh,
have a good one. Well,
yes. And Sabrina, next week is the Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day.
Yes, so we are not having a show. So, but thank you, Sabrina. So, you know, I just, you made some good points. You have made some good points. But like I said at the beginning of the show, okay, I said that I'm not that Bible thumping Christian. I'm not that person who's throwing out Bible verses every time you say something to me, whatever. But I do believe that there is a God. I do I believe everything in the Bible? I do question some things, but there are some things that I believe. I am conservative in some of my beliefs, very liberal in others. But I do believe there is a God. I do believe in something called faith. So, but with black people, I think a lot of it is brainwashing, not necessarily because of the church or because of the Bible. I think because of where we've been and
Right.
how what we were told, and that stuff was passed on, and now it's like, well, hold on, we got to wade through some of this stuff, because a lot of stuff that Master told us wasn't true, because they wanted to keep us on the plantation. It was a way of controlling millions of people who didn't look like them, but we were all this and they were just these few. It was a way to
Right.
control. So
Yes.
that's where I am.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And like I said, you know, I talk to people of all walks of life. I talk to many. One of the guests that we were supposed to have today, the main reason I wanted to have her on as a guest is because she is the most beautiful woman I've ever met when it comes to saying I am a Christian, because she lives in the Word. She knows that she's not perfect. She knows that you're not perfect. She knows that she doesn't have a heaven or hell to put anyone in. And despite her being a devout Christian, she sung at my wedding. I've known her since high school, and she's always said, "Girl, I love you. You might be a little crazy. You might say some off the wall stuff, but I love you, and I want you to know that God loves you, and I accept you for who you are. She accepts people for who they are. She doesn't force it on. She ain't walking around, oh, God said that. She does doing all of that. And I love her spirit. I love how she carries herself as a Christian. I will defend her as a Christian any day of the week.
Well, what do you think about what Pretty Eyes, Miss Pretty Eyes says? She says, "I believe in God as well. I let me read this again. I believe in God as well. I do, but I'm not religious and never been religious. But I'm spiritual, and that's definitely two different things. I'm spiritual all day long." Okay, let's talk about the difference between being religious and spiritual. Is there a difference?
It definitely is.
Okay, so then I'm going to have to think about that, because now I'm thinking, am I spiritual or am I religious? But I do believe in some things of the Bible. So what's the difference between I think Alicia is saying that she agrees. Okay. So I mean, what's the difference between spirituality and religious? So
spirituality, a person can be a Christian, Muslim, Jew, whatever, and still be spiritual and not religious, because they are not a slave to everything that Bible says. They believe some things, but they believe in themselves. They believe in a God. They believe in bettering themselves. They have their own relationship with God. Whatever higher power they believe in, they have their relationship. They don't have to go to church and jump up and down and let the wig fall off. They can sit with themselves and pray and meditate and ask for guidance and ask for wisdom. They don't have to get deep into the Bible. You said yourself, I'm not deep into the Bible. I believe this, I believe that, but you pray about things.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own relationship with God. You'll even ask for forgiveness if you do something that you deem to need forgiveness for. But you won't stand on the steps and say, y'all should be ashamed of yourself. No. You know, that's the difference between spirituality. Religious people, let me put it like this. You got church folk and you got Christians. Church folk are going to pray for you. I'm sorry. Christians are going to pray for you. Church folk are going to say they're going to pray for you and talk about you behind your back.
Okay.
Christians know that they sin just like everyone else and that we all deserve grace. Church folk are going to be dirty as hell while throwing dirt on you. Their backyard is going to be bushy as hell with weeds, but they're going to be all in your backyard telling you to mow the lawn. That's the best way.
Okay, well, this is what I just pulled this up on Google. Hold on, let me. Okay, spirituality, the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. And then you just gave an example of the shift in priorities allows us to embrace in spirituality in more profound ways. So, okay, all right. So I guess, I mean, y'all are giving me something to think about, but so Sabrina's not here, but no, I don't think I'm going to, I don't think I'll get to the atheist side. But you have given me something to think about in terms of the spirituality side. And, welcome, Linda. I didn't see you pop in. Linda says, as Black people, we had our own rituals before getting doctorates by master. Yes, that's what we were saying. So I don't know, but when it comes to just, and this is a whole different show too. we as a people, I knew this was going to go different. We as a people have just so much to learn and so much to do, but we as a society also have a lot of work and so much to do. I mean, that's why I say that no matter who you think God is, no matter what you think it is, a spirit, a person, a being, an energy, metaphysical, whatever, the world should just be blown up, start over. Humans at the bottom of the food chain, animals at the top of the food chain, because animals don't screw each other over. But then,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And
Fair
then
enough.
Miss Pretty Eye says religion just gives me cult-like vibes. So, but we are nearing the 1:15 mark. So
Right. As Black people, we
this
had our
is.
own rituals before them got this cotton master.
Let me
We
put this
had
one
to
up
do it
again.
out there. We had our own rituals. We had our own way of believing. But you know what? We can all believe, disbelieve in a friendly way. That's, you know what I mean. We don't have to go at each other. You know what I
But
mean? As long
unfortunately, society has made it where we do. So, but anyway, so y'all,
I want to. We're gonna do a part. I think we got to do a part two to this.
we
We got to
will.
get some.
We can definitely. I'm all up for a part two.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Um,
do a part two.
but once again, y'all, next week is Labor Day weekend. We will not be doing a show then. We will be back on. Let me get my calendar. I'm old school. I use a calendar.
September 9th,
Um,
y'all. We will be back.
Yeah, September 9th. And conservatives who adopt black children, and not just black children, conservatives who adopt just children of
Color.
various colors and cultures, whatever. Um, I have some questions. So, if you are someone who has a who is a conservative who has adopted someone else out of your culture, out of your race, please send an email to friendlydifferences at gmail.com, and we can look to have you on the show. The only thing that we ask is that when you come on, you have a good internet connection. You're not in your car. Whatever. And we are here for at least an hour and 15 minutes, and you are here the entire time. You're not getting up, moving around, turning your camera off, doing all this other stuff. That you are here, you are present. So,
Right.
and of course that you're nice and respectful, even though some people have accused Dred and I not being, but we are. So but yeah, so
This is your Dread Empath signing off. I want to thank everyone for being here today. This is not the last hot button topic we're going to conquer, but together we can conquer anything, and we can have our differences in a friendly way.
I agree. So until next time, thank you for giving me up your Saturday. Peace.
All right.